1.
What are the main differences between rural and urban life in your country?
Well, to be honest, I have to say there are lots of difference between in my country, like rural and urban life. They are different in several key ways, especially in lifestyle, in job opportunities, and also in the pace of life too. First one is about the pace of life. Like everyone knows that the life in the city is like a fast pace. People tend to live competitive and often stressful due to the heavy workload. However, in the countryside, in rural area, they tend to live in a calmly way. Like they are really closely connected to the nature. But how about the job opportunities? Second, job opportunities and income are really different. Like people in the cities, they offer. I mean, the city always offer a wide range of jobs in education, in healthcare, lots of ways. So that with a generally higher salary, but by contrast, rural area they mainly rely on agriculture and on fish farming too, or some of small local business. So that's why they usually remain a lower cost, a lower and less stable income. And another major difference is about the access to service and facilities. Yeah, like urban residents benefit from better healthcare, education, transportation, and entertainment options. Meanwhile, people in rural area often have a limited access to hospital, university, and also in modern infrastructure too. And finally, community relationships. Like people in city, they always live in a hectic lifestyle. They always being busy because of the workload. However, so that's why the relationship between each neighbor is not closely, it's not close than the, it's not close than, it's not closer than the people who live in their countryside. Like they tend to have a close knit bond relationships and really have a strong social bond. So that's why they are having every bonding every weekend. This is something that really normal. And overall, rural life offers a peace and strong community life ties, while the urban life provides for them more opportunity and convenience, but at a higher cost, pressure, and stress too.
2.
Why do some people prefer to live in the countryside rather than in the city?
Well, to be honest, I have to say so. Some people they tend to live in the countryside because of the quality of life. My main idea, because of life in the rural area always offer for them a sense of like being relaxed, which help them to reduce from stress and get away from pressure in life, being closer to nature and also enjoying fresh air, quiet environment, and also make them feel like really relaxed and mentally healthy. Another reason would be a strong community relationships. Like in the countryside, people they tend to live in a close-knit bond relationships, and every family they know each other and they can support whenever they need. So that's why this creates a strong sense of belonging, which is sometimes missing in the city. Like the city they don't have that. Like people in the city tend to be more busy and they are being isolated with and other people. I think so. And additionally, the cost of the living in rural area is much more lower. Like housing is really affordable and daily expenses are really cheap, allowing people to live more comfortably without thinking about financial pressure. Yeah, this is really what I really like. And in overall, people who value peace, nature, and emotional well-being often tend to choose countryside to the place for living. So that's why, even though it may offer a fewer job opportunities, but lots of people they tend to move to the countryside to live for the rest of their life.
How has rural life changed in your country over the past 20 years?
Well, over the past 20 years, rural life in the country has changed less obvious, but in very meaningful ways. One of the noticeable shifts is that rural areas they have become semi-urban. The boundary between rural and urban life is increasingly blurred as countryside around it has cafe, it has a lot of workshops, homestay, and even a small co-worker space rather than being purely agriculture. First one is that one of the significant change is the influence of social media. In the past, rural residents they tend to live more privately and they rarely compare with another people's lifestyle. However, today, constant exposure to social media has introduced social comparison and higher material expectations. So that's why, especially in the young people, they tend to compare their life with another people's life, even though they are living in a different standard. And last one is that the identity of rural resident has diversified. Like being a farmer, they are no longer have to be a farmers. They no longer have to work on a farm, but right now they can be work on business online, like farming with online business, digital marketing, or content creation. So that's why they have a wide range of jobs online, which offer them more opportunities to gain more salary and also for earn for a living, and make them feel like comfortable and reflect more flexibility and modern rural identity. In overall, rural life today is not just modern, but it has been redefined in terms of values, identity, and life goals.
How could over-tourism negatively impact cities?
Well, to be honest, I have to say over-tourism can negatively impact cities in a very serious way. Like first, it puts heavy pressure on the infrastructure and public services, like public transport, roads, waste system, and water supply are designed for the resident. I mean the people who live in the cities. However, this is not used for the numbers of visitors. So as a result, overcrowding becomes really common, and daily life for the local resident is disrupted. Second one is that the housing cost can rise sharply, like the growth of the short-term rentals reduce the available housing for residents, pushing up the rent prices and forcing the local people move to another city to live, and this can damage a long-term community ability, stability. And the another major impact is the environmental degradation. Actually, like large numbers of tourists can lead to the more waste, air pollution, and also can damage historical sites and natural attractions. So that's why cities may struggle to preserve their cultural heritage under the constant tourist pressure. And over tourism can also cause the cultural dilution, like local tradition and business are often replaced by the tourist oriented shops and service. So that's why it makes the city become less authentic and more commercialized in some cases. So in overall, like why tourism can bring to the economic benefits, unchecked over tourism can reduce to the resident quality of life and make city less sustainable in the long run. That's what I think.